Good afternoon, or perhaps good morning or good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. I am very excited to finally be back teaching on verbling. I have been absent for a couple of months now, and I am finally here in my triumphant return to teaching. So I'm very happy to be back. Today's class is about gender-specific words. This means words that are specific to the male gender or to the female gender. And these can be nouns or they can be adjectives. And these are words that I find very useful in English because it really shows that you have an advanced level of knowledge when you can tell the difference between some of these words that are used for men versus for women. So a simple example that I used in the class description is a purse versus a wallet. So for the most part, in North America and in Europe, a woman is more likely to carry a purse, and a man is more likely to carry his money in a wallet in his pocket. So that's an example of if someone's talking about a wallet, you can assume that there's a good chance that wallet belongs to a man. We'll be going over a lot of examples, and a lot of them will involve some kind of fun slang words that I hope you'll enjoy. It'll be a really good way for you to demonstrate your extra good English skills to your friends. So I'll say a side note. I've been absent from verbling for a couple of months, which means this is my first time teaching on this new tickets platform. So you guys know more about this system than I do because this is my first time using this. So I appreciate your patience as I get used to the new way that we're doing things here at Verbling. But I believe that this time is still reserved for people with reservations to join the class. And afterwards, you can join as well as soon as you cash in your tickets. So please go ahead and click the Join Class button and join me today for this class on gender-specific words. We'll wait about 2 more minutes, and then we'll start the class with whoever has joined here. While we're waiting, let's see, I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about my travels and why I was not teaching the last couple of months. I was living in France this year, teaching English, and I spent 5 or 6 weeks traveling around Europe after I finished. So I went to the United Kingdom, I went to Germany, and I spent a couple of weeks in Spain as well. So I got to practice a little bit of Spanish, although I don't know very much Spanish. Now that I'm back home, I'm hoping to use some of the Verbling Spanish classes to help my Spanish skills. But I had a really fun time traveling, and now I'm back living in the United States. And I'm excited to have more time to teach Verbling. So thank you all for those of you who are viewing and those of you who have joined the class. We're going to get started because it is 5 minutes past the hour, and I want to make sure we all get the most practice that we can. So it looks like right now in the class we have Hazel and Mustafa. Hazel, can you hear me?
Yes, hello. Hello, Libby.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? I think you are quite well because you travel a lot, as I see.
Yes, I'm very happy. I'm very tired, and I'm ready to be at home and stop spending all my money on traveling. So I'm doing very well, thank you. And then we have Mustafa here too. Mustafa, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello Libby, and welcome back to Verbling.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
I'm happy to see you again. I hope you enjoyed Spain as well.
Yes, I did. I had a great time. I got some sunshine and some good weather, so I was happy.
Lucky you.
Yes, very well. Okay, good. So we'll start the class, and because for now it's just 2 of you, you guys will get lots of practice, and we might get more people who join later, hopefully. So I'm going to base this class today on this document that I found. The document is attached as a PDF in the course description, so you can find that on the Verbling site. And I found this document and I thought it's really cool because it gives us a lot of really good examples of gender-specific words. So when I first heard this, I said, what does that mean, word? Because as we all know, in English, we don't have genders, right? No words are specifically masculine or feminine by themselves, but there are a lot of words that refer specifically to the male gender, men, or to the female gender, women. And I was surprised to see this list, and I think you might be too, how many words in English are actually considered to be masculine or feminine. And I wanted to go over this list with you guys, see how much you know, and hopefully we'll all learn some cool, especially some cool slang, because some of these expressions I guarantee you have never seen before. And so a lot of these are kind of funny, and I'll be explaining a lot of the slang as we go along. So first, it'll just be this vocabulary grammar portion, and then for the students who are in the class, if we finish this, we'll just get into a little bit of discussion for some speaking practice. So for now, let's take a look at some of these words, and let's talk about what exactly I mean here. So here's the list. Like I said, you can find it as a PDF on the Verbling class. And it says, gender-specific language. Which word or expression below is used to talk about just men, and which is used just to talk about women? So the first example is an example about swimwear, stuff that you wear when you go swimming. And so one type of swimwear is a bikini, and the other type of swimwear is swimming trunks. So Hazel or Mustafa, could one of you tell me what is a bikini? What does it look like?
For lady. It's for lady.
It's a swimming wear for ladies.
Yes.
Good. And a bikini, is it one piece or two pieces?
Depends.
Usually two pieces.
Yeah, when we say a bikini, we always are referring to a two-piece bathing suit. So there's a top piece and a bottom piece.
Yes.
We can say, also for women, we can say that sorry, forgot about the typing thing. They can wear a one-piece swimsuit, and that would be if you're doing swimming for sports or something like that, you can have a one-piece.
Yes.
But usually women, when they go swimming, will wear a bikini. And then men wear swimming trunks. That's the other one. And you can also call them swim shorts because they just look like shorts, right?
It's standard shorts. Yes.
And what about, so in the United States, men wear these shorts to go swimming, so they go almost down to their knees. But sometimes in other places, men will wear just briefs, so just a smaller swimsuit.
Yes.
And when I refer to that, I call it actually a Speedo. Speedo is a brand of swimsuit.
Yes. Famous brand.
Yeah, of course. And so for some reason, we use Speedo specifically to refer to those smaller bathing suits that men wear in other places. Cool, so that one was pretty easy. The next one's also pretty easy, like I said, purse and wallet. So who carries a wallet typically? Man or woman?
Man.
Right.
Purse,
Men carry wallets in their pockets, and women may carry purses. So that's pretty easy. The next one's funny. It's a funny piece of slang. Boobs and moobs. Neither of these words should be used in polite conversation. Take note. And all right, so Hazel and Mustafa, do you guys know what moobs are by any chance?
No, only boobs. I heard the moobs,
yes,
but
yes.
the other word I don't know.
I don't know the moves too. I don't know about it. I just know.
Okay, so boobs is a kind of rude slang word used to refer to female breasts.
Yes.
And moobs is an abbreviation for man boobs.
Oh.
And it's used to refer to men who are overweight, so that their pectorals may resemble breasts because they're fat, basically. So if you say that, it's pretty impolite, but it's a good word to know in case someone says it to you, in which case you know that you should you should get mad at them because it's not a very nice thing to say.
Yeah.
So it's not vulgar, but it's just it's just a very something you might say to your friends if you're
Embracing somehow to say something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Okay.
it's usually used by younger people. Older people might not know what that word means. It's a very young piece of slang.
Mm-hmm.
So as we know, moobs are for men. We learned that. Okay, and then the next one's kind of related. The word cleavage. The word cleavage refers to men or to women?
I think women.
I think women, yes. Because
Yeah,
hairy chest is
because
for
hairy
men.
chest would be for what?
men.
Yeah.
For men.
Yes.
Good. So men may have hair on their chest, and the word cleavage is actually a good vocabulary word.
For
Cleavage
dress
we
or
use when
blouse when is open in the front of the.
yeah, if
Isn't
a
it?
woman is wearing a low cut dress or blouse,
Yes.
you would say that you could see her cleavage. So that's another. It's not impolite to say that. It's a totally normal word. But
I'm
usually you
sorry,
might
I didn't
comment.
get the exact meaning of cleavage.
Cleavage is basically when you can see a woman's breasts, like with that they show through sort of what she's wearing. If she's not wearing a very, she's not
I
covering
got it.
herself very much.
Oh my God,
So
I got it. Yes.
it's not a rude word to say at all, but generally you might use it if you're criticizing someone by saying, that woman, she's showing some cleavage with the dress. I don't think it's very appropriate.
Yes, exactly. I don't have to keep focused on woman cleavage, okay?
Yeah,
I
so
don't have
okay,
to
good.
talk
So we
about
know
it.
that, and cleavage can only be used for women. If men
Yes.
have big chest muscles, we don't say that they have cleavage.
Yes. Yes.
All right, cool. Next one is easy. A stepfather and a stepmother.
Yes.
So we obviously know that a stepfather is a man.
Yeah.
What is a stepfather exactly? What does that word mean?
When it is
It's
not your real father, when your mother is remarried with another man and he becomes your stepfather.
it's not the birth father for the child.
Excellent, good. So the stepfather is not the birth father of the child. It's when the mother remarries another man. So a
Yes.
stepfather is not related to you by blood, but is related to you in your family. And same thing with a stepmother. Obviously, if your father marries someone else, you would have a stepmother.
Yes.
What about what about, let's say your father marries another woman and they have a child. How is that child related to you?
Again, please.
Half brother, half sister.
So your father marries another woman, so she's your
Yes.
stepmother, and then they have a child together. And that child is related to you by being your so a half brother or half sister. You
Yes.
can also say step brother or step sister.
Step brother, step sister. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Good. So so we can say step siblings or step brother or step sister. Awesome.
Great.
And okay, and then here's another family question. Number 6 says a father-in-law and mother-in-law. So what is a father-in-law?
The father of my
Father-in-law
husband
is
or-
yes.
Yeah, so the father-in-law is the father of your spouse, your husband or your
Spouse.
wife. So the
Yes.
person that you're married to is called your spouse. That's the general term. And your spouse's father is your father-in-law, and your spouse's mother is called your mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law.
So together we refer to that side of the family as your in-laws.
Yes.
You might say, I'm leaving for the weekend to visit my in-laws. That means that you're visiting your spouse's, your husband or your wife's family, your in-laws.
Yes.
Okay. Good. The next one is can have a couple of meanings. Number 7 says master or mistress. So, Hazel, can you tell me which one of those is for a man?
Master,
Master.
of course, master is for men and mistress for women.
And
Yes.
what does master mean exactly? When would you call someone master?
I think in the nobility in the past maybe more master.
Good. So,
Um,
yeah,
Yes.
it's kind of like I think it's usually a term for a younger man who's not married. You might refer to him as instead of Mr. Smith, you might say Master Smith. But you're right, nobody uses that anymore. It's
yes.
very it's old-fashioned and it's usually for sort of royalty or rich people.
Nobility, yes.
Yeah, nobility, exactly. And mistress has a little bit of a different meaning. What exactly is a mistress?
Mistress could be a lady who is paid by a man for different services. How
Yeah,
can I
so
say
sometimes
politely?
yeah, so sometimes you might hear about a king and his mistresses. So
Yes.
is the king married to these women?
No.
No. That is the
So
meaning.
Lovers.
master is kind of
Lovers.
nobility, and mistress is kind of low considering for women.
I think it has two meanings, mistress.
Exactly. Yeah. So originally, you're exactly right, Mustafa. Mistress can also just mean like a young unmarried lady, but the more common reason that we hear mistress is in the context of a married man who has relations with women who are not his wife,
Yes.
and those
Yes.
women are his mistresses. So a very good question. It can be both.
Okay. Great.
But it's interesting, in English, we don't have a word for the male version of that. So if a woman is married and she has relations with men who are not her husband, we might call those her lovers or something, but we actually do not have a male equivalent for mistress. I'm not sure what that says about us, but there you go.
Couldn't
There's
it
no
be
word.
a slave? Like, couldn't a man called be a slave in that case?
You could use that word, but it would be slave would imply that they're forced into it, that they don't want to, whereas sometimes they might want to anyway. They might be doing it voluntarily. So.
And men too can doing that voluntarily. Can be doing that.
Right. So if they're being forced into something, yes, you could use the word slave. But more commonly, maybe you just wouldn't talk about it. Maybe it would be a secret. So maybe that's why we don't have a word for it.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Cool. The next one's also kind of a funny piece of slang. The term trophy wife. Do you guys know what a trophy wife is?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I think it's a woman who is not too clever and not earns her own money, but she is pretty like a doll, I think.
That's exactly correct. We use the word trophy wife to mean a wife that a man marries in order to show her off. So she might be young, she might be beautiful, perhaps she might not be very smart, or maybe she is smart because maybe she's marrying the man to get his money. We don't know. But we use the word trophy wife in a kind of negative way. It's not a compliment. It's used to show that the wife is a trophy. She's something that the husband wants to show to everyone. So usually she's very beautiful. And
like a Barbie doll.
Yes, exactly, like a Barbie doll. She's very, she's very well dressed and she looks nice. So the male version of this is kind of funny. It's boy toy. It's written toy boy on the sheet, but the expression I would use is boy toy, and the boy toy is sort of the equivalent. Maybe not necessarily someone you're married to, but it's a man who a girl sort of plays. It's like a toy, like a doll. She wants to show him off, and so he may be called her boy toy. Again, not a compliment, but a word that we might use to refer to people who are not in the room with us. Maybe you would always, you would not want to say that to someone to their face. Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right, cool. The next one's pretty easy. It comes from French.
French.
If you are engaged to someone, that person is called what? Your
Fiancé. Fiancé.
fiancé. And as you can probably guess, well, which of those fiancés, which of those spellings refers to a female? Which of
The
those is for a
second.
woman?
Female is for second, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
The second one, because in French, when a word is feminine, you add an E onto the end. So fiancé with 2 E's is the female version.
But what is there no difference in this pronunciation for both of them?
It's the exact same pronunciation for both of them. Good question.
Yes.
So you just say my
Fiancé.
fiancé. Either way.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to skip the next one, and then we'll do number 11, a widow and a widower. This is really good vocabulary, too.
Yes.
What is a widow?
A man who.
He's a man who lost his wife.
Yes. A man who lost his wife.
Good, close. So that's actually the second one, a widower. A widower.
Yes,
A
yes,
widow
indeed.
is a woman, and a widower is a man.
Is the man who lost his wife, yes.
Exactly. So a widow is a woman who has lost her husband, whose husband has died, and a widower is a man who has lost his wife. So, again, we use that term sometimes. It's a little bit more old-fashioned, but people definitely still use those words to refer to those people. All right, cool. Let's see. The next ones are kind of funny. I haven't really heard all of these, so I'll tell you which ones are cool to say and which ones aren't cool. The cool things to say, words that people use a lot in America, are
Womanizer.
a player.
Playboy.
Can one of you tell me what is a player? Do you know?
Player is a player. I don't know some alternative meaning for it.
Someone.
Playing a game.
Good. So usually a player is someone who plays a game. You might say baseball player.
I think. I think who likes to flirt a lot.
Okay, excellent. That's exactly right. So a player in a romantic context is a man who likes to flirt a lot. And to flirt means to be romantic and to try to attract people who you're interested in.
Yeah.
So a player is kind of it's kind of a compliment, but it depends. So sometimes it's a compliment. Sometimes maybe it might imply that you are being deceptive to women. So a player is a man who dates a lot of women and flirts with a lot of women. And a related term is a womanizer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a womanizer is?
Yes, who likes to keep a lot of relationships with women.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So a womanizer is, again, not really a compliment, but not really negative either. It's a man who has relationships with a lot of women. So can you think of any examples from movies or from TV of someone who is a womanizer? A character maybe, or a person?
Let me guess. Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, Barney from How I Met Your Mother. So
Yeah.
he has a reputation for dating a lot of women, and he also speaks about women in kind of a negative way, right? He doesn't really, sometimes he's not very positive about them.
He
So
always
he's
likes to make himself like a womanizer and to talk about his relations a lot.
good, yes.
Yeah.
So
And Don
Barney is a
Juan.
good.
And Don Juan is the most well-known womanizer in history.
Sorry, who is?
Don Juan.
Don Juan
Okay,
de
good.
Marco.
Don Juan. Good. Excellent example.
Yes.
Good. So there are a lot of, the one I was thinking of actually was James Bond. James Bond has a lot of women
Yes.
too.
Hello?
It's more like an agent.
Yeah, he can't help it. It's not his fault, you know. He's
Yes.
just attracts
Hello?
them, I guess.
Oh.
So interestingly, at least in American culture, words like player and womanizer that refer to men who have a lot of women we don't really have a positive female equivalent. So for a woman who has relationships with a lot of men, the words that are used to refer to her in our culture are kind of negative. So if we call a woman easy, for instance,
Yes.
what do you think that means if we call someone easy?
Dates
To
with many men.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like this woman is very easy to date.
be fooled. Yes.
Yes.
So, or the similar is loose. These words are kind of older, but people still sometimes say them. And I mean, it's kind of interesting that we don't think positively about women who do this, but we do think positively about men who do this.
Yes. I think in any culture it's the same. In
Yeah,
my culture as well.
I would think so. Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, is it similar in your culture? Do people? I mean, do people think of women who have a lot of relationships as being bad?
Yes.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Why? Why do you think?
I don't know. They say because I think because women have to have children, and that's why when she starts being a mom, cannot be with many men. I heard these things,
Good.
these
Yes,
sayings usually.
I can talk a little about that because I'm Eastern, I'm Middle Eastern, so we have this a lot in our area. A woman is more likely to be considered as not a little, not more little than men, but it's it's mostly what can I say? It can be that men can have some relations more than one, two, three, and four, but women have to have one, just one relation. So a man can have multiple options to have relations. It's allowed for him, but for women, no. So women are more likely to be limited and oppressed in that topic.
Yeah.
So it's not usual to see a woman with more than one man, and for that, and consequently, it's not more likely to see women with men at all, because the man here has initiation to start a relation, but woman is it's not that common in our culture. I don't think it's very good thing, because we are the same. We have equal rights, and there is no religion. If someone is basing his mind on a religious view, no religion in the Middle Eastern area has forced us to make men is in a higher positions than women. We are the same. We have equal rights, totally equal rights. But it's like inherited traditions and inherited culture, and no one had the dare to change it. So we inherited it, and we lived by it. And to be honest, if anyone could ever try to change this, he would be fought against aggressively, because it's like a conflict of interest. Because being a man, how can I allow someone to talk about women positively? It's some kind of a bad issue in someone's with himself. I can't go for an interest of someone who's in front of me. I always go for my interest. So being a man wouldn't make me so happy to make women have equal rights with me.
Right.
And that's it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a very good explanation. You know, sometimes there's a basis for these kinds of social norms. When I say social norms, I mean sort of the cultural things that we expect in society, and social norms are sort of the way things are. And I agree kind of what Hazel said earlier, that a lot of these norms come from the fact that women have children. So because women are the ones who have children, they're expected to stay in one place, be more responsible, because they're the ones who need to raise the children in a lot of cases. And so it's been more acceptable for men to have more relationships and things like that. But even if, as we all know, this may not be right, and I mean, it's certainly not right and it's not equal, it is very hard to change those norms. And even in the United States, which is a very, relatively free society, we still see a lot of differences between men and women. One big problem in the U.S. is that women are not in as many high positions in business. So when you see people who own companies, people who have a lot of money, they're mostly men. And it was interesting because previously an explanation was that women were too shy. Women are too nice, we're too timid, and we're afraid to take the opportunities that we want. That was an explanation.
I was going to say about that. It's easier to threaten women because, of course, I think you've heard in Western societies about oppression and aggression, violence against women, harassment, and so on. So it's easier to threaten women. So I can't tell a woman stay home, because if you're going to the streets, you are not safe. There is always that reason not to make women having their chances and their opportunities, and they can comply with that because somehow women themselves have been affected by that and have been influenced by the concept that they are not equal to men. So women have is living by that rule, and it's not good of course, because it's not good to use something so bad like violence or aggression to justify a misconception at all. It's all wrong from the start. So I'm using a wrong and a very bad reason to justify something which is wrong in its core.
Yeah. I think that's a very good, concise explanation of the issue, is that sometimes these kinds of justifications, like women are shy or women are weak and they need to be protected, it does have some basis in that women are a little bit smaller than men, we have less muscle than men do, but besides that, it is mostly in our minds, right? It's what culture has perpetuated. It's what our culture has made us all believe, and it affects women and men, and that's why these gender roles are created. Not necessarily because there's inherent differences between women and men, and that's the only way it can be, but because people get ideas in their minds and they follow them. So this is sociology sort of studies this. You can study this for years, but I think in this class it's interesting to note how these differences, these perceived differences, are reflected in the language, right? And in English, we have plenty of language that distinguishes between men and women. Some of it's, a lot of this is just pretty neutral, but some of these things, like a player and a womanizer, it gets a little bit interesting because we get some insight into the way that cultures have thought about women in the past and maybe still think about women. So I think it's very interesting. For now, let's keep on with some of this vocabulary, and then we'll do this for another 10-15 minutes, and then we'll get back into some discussion at the end so that you guys can keep getting some speaking practice. So the next one is, again, not too difficult. It's bachelor and bachelorette. So what is a bachelor?
Single man, and bachelorette, single woman, I think.
Good, excellent, that's right. So a bachelor is a single man, a man who is not in a relationship or he's not married, and a bachelorette is the equivalent for a woman. What's interesting here is that on the female side, we also have this word spinster. Have you seen that word before? Do you know what a spinster is?
Yes, I've heard.
Okay,
And
how is a
old,
spinster different from a bachelorette?
I think it is an older lady unmarried, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly right.
I
It's an
thought
older
it
woman who is
exactly.
not married, and
Because every language has not men, but only for women.
see that same thing, right? There's no male
Yes,
equivalent for this.
yes, I think
Um,
from the past. It came also from the past.
exactly right. So a spinster is kind of it's a negative thing. It's
Yeah.
an older woman who's not married, and everyone kind of says to her, "You should really get married. You're getting old. No one's gonna want to marry you." So nobody wants to be a spinster, and so yeah, again, no word for that for men, but a spinster is an older woman who's not married. Cool. The next one is a butler and a chambermaid. So what is a
Mhm.
butler?
Butler also used in the past with the nobility was a kind of
Yeah,
chief of the servants.
good. A butler is a house servant, a male servant that maybe might answer your door and be in charge of your servants in
Yeah,
your fancy mansion house. And a chambermaid is a or just a maid is a
lady,
female
yes,
version of that. So
woman.
the next one we all know from Harry Potter. Well, probably from before that, but you know we all remember it from Harry Potter. A witch and a wizard. So a witch
Hmm.
is male or
The
female?
woman is the
Female,
Woman.
female.
Yeah. So a witch is a woman and a wizard is a man. So Harry Potter is a which one?
Wizard,
Wizard.
wizard.
All
the
right,
Wizard of
cool.
Oz is the
Um,
sorcerer.
and let's see. Well, 16 is easy. Mr. and
Hmm.
Mrs. Hopefully, at this level of English, you guys know which one is which. Same thing with Madam and Sir. These are the more elevated ways of referring to
Yeah.
women and men. Next, number 18, we have a male chauvinist. This is a very nice piece of vocabulary. Can anyone
Mhm.
tell me what a male chauvinist is?
I don't
I,
know.
I may try. I think it's a male who hates women.
Yeah, so basically, that's basically right. It's generally used to refer to men who think that they
Doesn't
are,
appreciate, don't appreciate women.
yeah, and the men who are kind of self-centered, men who like think that they're the coolest, and in particular, they tend to
Yes,
believe
a
that.
man with sexist attitude.
Good, yeah, okay, so a
Sexist.
guy with a sexist attitude, a guy who
Mhm.
um, doesn't really think that women are very worthwhile.
Smart or
And
yes.
it's funny because the expression I've heard sometimes is a chauvinist pig. That is an insult that
Yes,
you can.
me too.
So chauvinist pig obviously is not a nice thing to call someone, but if you're in an argument with a man who's being, really rude, maybe it's worth calling him that. The other one is pretty self-explanatory. A
Yeah.
man hater is what?
Probably
The
a woman who
woman.
hate men.
Yeah. A woman who hates men. Yeah, pretty simple. So, some feminists are accused of being man haters. So, some women who argue for women's rights are accused of hating men. However, that is a misconception. Not all women who fight for women's rights think that men are bad. Most of them
Mhm.
don't. But some women do hate men. So, I guess you would call them man haters. Okay, cool. Next one is gentlemanly and ladylike. So, can you give me an example of something you might do that is gentlemanly or that is ladylike? Any examples you can think of?
Um, what can I say?
Let's say you are a man and you take a woman out on a date. What are some things you can do during the date to show that you are a gentleman, that you are gentlemanly?
Open the door to the car and
Pull the chair for her.
at the table at the dinner you take her chair and help her to sit on the chair. This is gentlemanly, I think,
Good, yeah.
behavior.
And Mustafa, you're a little bit quiet, so maybe be a little closer to the microphone because I couldn't hear you the last time.
Okay, is
Okay.
that correct?
Yeah, that's way better. Good.
Yes.
So gentlemanly means polite gentleman behavior. So opening the door, pulling out the chair for someone.
Make my hand to climb up the horse.
Good. Okay. So giving someone your hand to climb onto the horse. Good.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. That's very nice.
Okay. What's an example of ladylike behavior? How do women show that they are proper ladies?
I don't know the kind of the walk. It's not something in particular, but I think some women have the style of a lady. The way she walks, the way she talk, the way she eats, and so on. So
Walk and move.
Good. Yeah. So the way that women choose to conduct themselves, the way they act, can be ladylike, sitting up with good posture and smiling and all those things that are traditionally considered to be
But
feminine.
a lot of women try to imitate men behavior. But
Yes.
I think there is a few women that still keep the behavior, the feminist behavior.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. That's true. So in a lot of ways, women and men act similar, but. Yes, good example. Okay, and I'm going to add in one that's not on this sheet. The word manly, and then the opposite of manly is girly. Does anyone know what manly means and how it's different from gentlemanly?
I don't know what. Drink beer and
This is
watch,
this is also a very young
drink
person
beer
thing
and
to say.
watch football match, MTV. Manly, no.
Yeah, okay, so good. So manly means doing stuff that men typically do. We use this in the US a lot. So manly stuff is like watching football games, playing sports, going to the shooting range and shooting guns, playing golf. All those things that men typically do are manly activities. A manly man has big muscles and things like that. He's very masculine in a cliche, stereotypical way. Conversely, what does it mean? What do you think it means to be girly? What are some girly things to do?
Dancing flamingo.
Good, dancing.
Gossip and watch a movie like soap opera or girly movie anyway. I don't know, romantic romance movie.
Good. Yeah, those kind of movies, in slang we call them chick flicks. Girls like to watch chick flicks, those funny romantic movies where we all end up crying. And good. Those are girly things to do. Putting on makeup, going shopping. These are all examples of
dress, fashion.
Yeah, dressing.
Dress is fashion.
So manly and girly, neither one is an insult, but neither one is necessarily a compliment. They're kind of just ways to pleasantly mock the way that men and women are. So we say like, "Oh, look at you! You're being so manly," going to the football game, or you might say to the girl like, "Oh, you're so girly," always wearing your nail polish or something. So. Again, yeah, not a compliment, but not negative either. Just kind of funny words to use, both of those. Okay, relatedly, we have a hen night and a stag night. These are not terms that we use in the U.S. They are terms that are used in Britain. So what is a hen night?
Never heard, but I think hen is for ladies, a meeting between ladies, between girls, and a stag night between men, I think.
Yeah. Good. So a hen night is a group of women who go out. They go out at night, and a stag night is for men. These are the American versions of these expressions are a bachelorette party and a bachelor party, respectively. So a hen night is the same thing as a bachelorette party. I'm going to
because hen talk a lot. Hens talk a lot. That's why women's are associated with hen and men's are associated with stags.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably the reason. So a hen night is a bachelorette party, and a stag night is a bachelor party. And these are parties that people have before they get married. So before the bride, the woman, gets married, she will have her bachelorette party. It's only women, and they go out and they have a crazy night out on the town. And the same thing for stag nights or bachelor parties. All the men, the groom and his friends, will go out on the town and do crazy stuff. And the idea is that it's the last big party before they get married. And when you're married, you're supposed to be an adult and you're supposed to be responsible. So these are sort of people's last chance to go crazy before they are, married, and they have to be good. So I was wondering, in your cultures, do these kinds of parties exist? Do people do these?
Yes.
And where do they typically go? What kind of things do they do for this party?
In a house or in a club usually.
And it's usually at night, and they just go out and have drinks and things like that?
Yes, but these are only new for a few years because I think they took from American movies, and it wasn't usual in my country in the past. Only I think last 5-6 years.
Okay, yeah. So in America, they've been around for a while, but they're still a little bit new. But yeah, same thing. We go out at night and have a big night out with our friends, and that's our bachelorette party. Usually, they also involve some degree of funny things. So girls might wear funny outfits. They might hire, performers or strippers to come to their house or something funny like that to make it an interesting time. But usually they're pretty fun and just a sort of cute way to celebrate before you get married. All right, let's move on to the next one. These are a pair of expressions, butch and macho. Do you guys know what either of these expressions means?
Macho, manly. Butch, I didn't heard.
Good.
Macho.
So macho means, I think of this, like, manly, macho.
Yeah.
It just means you're very
masculine.
Yeah, you're a man who acts very masculine on purpose. Butch is a less used word. It obviously refers to women. In this case, women who are masculine. So women who act very much like men. Butch is the word that is used to refer to them. It is not at all a polite word. I'd never choose to use it personally. It's used in a way that sort of insults the woman involved. So butch is a word you might hear in movies, but not a word that I would suggest that you use in conversation. It's just not very polite. Yeah, they both mean acting very manly. Butch refers to a woman, and macho refers to a man. Okay, the next one's one that I really wanted to get to. Effeminate versus feminine. So which one of those is for men?
Effeminate is for men. I think usually homosexuals are effeminate.
Excellent. Good.
And feminine is a very gracious lady, a very gracious woman, I think. It's a positive thing to be feminine.
Good. It is a positive thing to be feminine. Femininity is the noun. It's used to refer to women, the things that women are proud of about being a female. And effeminate is used for men who act like women, who are feminine. But when we refer to men who act like women, we call them effeminate. Again, these are all based on cultural stereotypes. So you're right, we are most likely to refer to homosexual men as being effeminate because our society considers a lot of the mannerisms that a lot of homosexual men use to be woman-like, which is interesting. I think it also reflects a lot about our culture and the way that we think about men and women and those stereotypes. So, but yes, good. So effeminate is for men and feminine is for women. Okay, there's another section on this sheet that is available, again, on PDF on my Verbling class description. There's another section that has you figure out which word is for men or women and which word is for both. So there's some things that can refer to both and other things that are specific. There are answers given at the bottom, so feel free to do that section on your own. I recommend that you do. It's a good exercise as well. But because we only have a few minutes left, I'd like to use this time to do a little bit of discussion instead, and also obviously for any questions that you have. So Hazel and Rimas, have there been any questions about anything we've gone over today? Anything you want to bring up?
I think no.
All right, Hazel, any questions that you have?
No, I discovered some interesting words anyway, which I didn't know some of them.
Good. Okay, good. So so then what I'd like to discuss in the last 5 minutes for a little practice is these words we've talked about today. What cultural stereotypes do they reflect about men and women? When we look at these words, they tell us something about the way that we expect men and women to be. What are the ideas that we have in our heads about the role that women are supposed to play and the role that men are supposed to play in society?
The stereotype, I think, in most cultures is that women should raise their children and eventually stay home and clean and cook for kids and for her husband. But this, I think, came from the past. Nowadays, at least in most of the countries, these stereotypes are a little bit, I don't know how to say.
I mean, yeah, they're inaccurate. They're not relevant anymore,
yes,
right?
Are not relevant anymore.
They're wrong.
But still, the reminiscence are because, for example, these words about womanizer and easy woman, this say very much about the expectation of the society regarding women or men.
Good, yeah. So I agree. So the idea of women being at home and not working, in a lot of countries that's changing, right? Women are in the workforce, women have jobs, men take a bigger role in raising the children. Sometimes single fathers raise children by themselves. In couples, both parents work to raise the children together. Sometimes there are households where the woman works and the man does not work. So we're seeing a lot of changes, but you're totally right. We still see these ideas in our language that show that we're not quite thinking about men and women the same way. And sometimes maybe that's good, and sometimes that is not good. You know, gender roles exist in all societies, but sometimes we have to stop and ask ourselves whether they're correct and whether we should keep using them. And I do wonder, I mean, I wonder if in our lifetime we'll see, you know, more countries where women do make the same amount of money as men, or, you know, whether we'll see a big change in women's rights in a lot of really strict countries or countries that are very religious. I mean, what do you think is the future of this? Do you think we're going to see much change, or do you think these cultural things are too strong and that we won't see a lot of change?
I think, in my opinion, I prefer a woman that stay at home, not because her rule it's just for cooking and doing the work of the house. No, but I prefer that my future wife. I want I want that my wife don't do the hard work. I can't do for her for her. I can't cook for her. I can't cook for her. Watch for her. I haven't the problem, but I think the woman is a beautiful thing in life. And we should protect her.
Okay, so that's a good point. Is women staying at home, that idea, it doesn't always come from a bad place, right? It's the idea of, if your wife is really good at cooking and she wants to work with the, and stay at home, and you want to go work, and it's, if it's out of mutual respect, then you're right.
Yeah,
Then maybe it's, it works, and it's almost like a division of labor. Like, everyone does what they're good at, and as long as it comes out of what both people want, I think that's a good situation. So that's a good point. Is maybe some of these things that we might think are bad sometimes are actually fine if it's what your family chooses to do. So, really good point. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now. I'm teaching another class in 2 minutes about email writing and just sort of electronic communication in general. So hopefully, if you're free, join me for that. And you can like my Facebook page. The link's on my Verblink page for more information and to follow me and stuff like that. So thank you to everyone who watched, and especially to you guys who participated today. And I hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much, Libby. Bye.